Hi, everybody. Welcome to the official IG Live Talk that we have here again. Okay, I've had some amazing special guests since I've kicked off the IG Live Talk. I've had talked to my mentor. Shout out to Aisha Corpus Wynn. I've talked to Stephanie, who works in the archival producer Patrick, who has been phenomenal in doing the groundwork on making sure that California stays booked and busy, okay? Because we have been having a hot mess over here going on in California. A lot of stuff has been leaving. Not too much, but a lot has been leaving, at least the core. So we have just, at least for me, I have been learning how to pivot. Now, I've been able to pivot 2020. Thank goodness. But I have noticed that a lot of my people have not been able to pivot. So hopefully with these IG Live Talks, we can be able to show that your skills, whether you're in Hollywood, reality TV, Zeus Network, I don't give a damn, live events, anything, your skill sets can pivot to any storytelling genre that you want to get into. And I have an amazing special queen. I've been following this queen since 1954. I would say 1954, but it's been a cool little minute. Miss Jasmyne Flowers. She is a certified badass. She told me to say that too. She is a certified badass. But she has been a powerhouse being an entertainment reporter, not only for just TV and film, but she has now pivoted in being able to give back that production for local businesses, especially in the South, I think in Atlanta area. Shout out to the ATL. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my special guest here because, baby, before we I am so thrilled to be able to have her. We are going to have a time. Okay, so let me see if I can get my queen on here. Perfect.
Hello.
How are you today? Skin is skinning, melanin popping, eyes is glowing, hair is coiling. Let me just tell you, you look beautiful today.
Thank you so much. So do you. I feel fantastic. It's been an awesome day. It really is. It's like semi-dreary and gloomy here in Atlanta, but I like that kind of
Same
weather.
here. It's
Yeah.
just been a little gloomy over here. I think California was supposed to have rain for 10 days, but give it to me because the fires, we need all the
Oh
rain
yeah,
dance
yeah, for sure.
that
Yeah,
we can get.
yeah.
But without further ado, Miss Jasmyne Flowers, man, we have had so many topics and conversations through DM. And first and foremost, I want to give you your flowers. Flowers, no pun intended. And just you have really paved your own lane and being able
Yeah,
to be like, okay, I got my little 9 to 5
yeah,
over here, but I have really can be a vessel in giving my voice to not only the community but for brands, restaurants. I'm seeing you getting into the mix
yes.
over here. So without further ado, Jasmyne, tell us your backstory. Where are you from, and what got you into your, I guess, your first job,
Yeah.
and then what has now blossomed you into your entrepreneurial role in your entertainment reporter duties?
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. We have been following each other. I love your platform. You know, we engage with each other all the time. So yes, thank you for having me.
Thank
That's
you.
first. Yes, but I'll tell a little bit about myself. So I grew up in Atlanta. I was born in Florida, but we don't talk about that. But I grew up, we don't talk about that at all.
Yeah.
But I grew up right here in Atlanta on the southwest side of Atlanta. So from the age of 2, I've been here. I went to an HBCU, Clark Atlanta. My whole background has always been in entertainment. So I went for mass comm, concentration in film. My goal was to be a director and producer,
Wow.
which is still a goal of mine. But director producer was what I studied in school. And then I went to graduate school, got a master's in entertainment business. That has always been my life. But around 2017, I want to say, I did a bit of a pivot and I started a podcast with 2 other women. One of the young ladies I'm still really cool with right now. We have another brand together that I'll talk about soon.
Yeah.
But when I started the podcast, I was like, this is really, like, this is interesting. I didn't know anything about podcasting. I didn't know how to set up anything too much. I had listened to other podcasts, but I didn't really know what to do. But I think it was that background in entertainment that kind of really wanted me to do more. But it wasn't until the pandemic, so September 2020, when I started writing for I call her my twin. We have the same, we were born on the same day, 10/4/84. And she had tagged me in her cousin's her publication. It's called I Hear That Girl. And she was looking for a beauty contributor. And I was like, I've never written for a blog before, but I was really in my year of just say yes to things that you may be interested in, or even things that you're scared in.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I was like, okay, this is actually really cool. And so I got to work with a lot of beauty brands, and like I started like putting up videos about like working like content creation for beauty brands. And I was like, oh, I really like this. But I reached out to her and I said, I really love entertainment. If you have anything that I could do with entertainment, if I could, do some interviews or something like that, I would really love to do that. She was like, okay. That opened up a whole new world for me. I had never really thought of a career where I was going to be a media personality or red carpet correspondent, interviewing celebrities or influential people or, cultural movers and shakers. That was not a dream I had growing up. But when I gave myself permission to pivot and went into something that I didn't know, I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
This is kind of good. And then I was like, and you're kind of good at it, Jazz. I was like, no, I think you really found something. And so I just kept going with it. And I remember when I would go out on red carpets, I would just kind of, at first I was kind of looking at what other people were doing to kind of find my space. And I was like, I had that background as a film, like in film, producing, directing. And I was learning more about software. And I was like, well, I know how to put together like film. I know how to put like content together, and still trying to learn it for social media. But I added all of those elements together to now coming into like 5 years. It's almost 5 years, but 3 years after I started as a media personality, I won my first award for media year. I was like, okay, I'm only like 3 years in, and this year, a couple of days ago, I ended up doing press work as a virtual press conference for the Oscars. And I was like, wow. Wow.
And
I think
what's so crazy? The power of the pivot. Like, and you took that year of just saying yes. And I think the pandemic really, shout out to everybody that's still on the IG live, but I think the pandemic really woke a lot of us up who had that fire in us to really just like, we couldn't wait anymore. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't know what the pivot was, but we knew it was coming. And so for you, where do you feel like at that moment when you were like, okay, I had to pivot, what were some of the skills that you recognized that you were like, okay, this skill, I know I can pivot? And I'll give another question. What skills did you notice, especially with red carpet? What were some skills you were like, I don't think that I can use that in this environment?
You know what? I will always say this first. People think I'm playing when I say I'm a certified badass. And I was like, that's not necessarily for aesthetics. It's for the power that I believe that I hold. And I've had certified badass on my social media for a long time because I was like, I grew up being very insecure and really, I was just so unsure of what I could do or what I could be. It took me I was 24 years old when I started breaking myself out of that. So it took me a long time to even get to this point. But I felt like my skills being very interested. I love entertainment. I love the pulse of entertainment. I love to be like, well, who's doing what? Who's doing this? Who's whatever. I feel like having a true interest in entertainment really helped me to actually like see what's going on. And two, I'm extremely nosy. I know people, if you want to say it the right way, I'm inquisitive.
Nosy, you can use that.
Okay? Exactly. I was like, if we want to put it in, I'm inquisitive, if that sounds better. But I'm like, I'm extremely nosy. And I really, really like people. I love people's stories. And I think that helps when I'm on a red carpet to ask really important questions. And I remember like when I would first, and this is no slight to anybody else, but sometimes when I would be on the line, sometimes I just get bored of things. So I would be on the line and I would hear people asking questions in front of me. And I'd be like, so everybody's going to ask that question. And I remember like just being like, I want to ask a question that if I'm interested in it, I think my audience will be interested in it. And I really started making myself the personality out here on these red carpets. I was like, these carpets aren't just for these celebrities. In my mind, they're for me too. I'm like, I'm like, it's got to be fun. It's got to be like my personality too. And the other question you asked me, like, what skills was I not going to take with me?
Yeah, because I know sometimes in the midst of that pivot, you feel like for say for instance in Hollywood TV, I feel like some people like when they like get to the supervising producer, they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I can just move over to like live events and supervise produce over
Yeah.
there. But some of the skills that I'm not able to do if I was an unscripted
Yeah.
supervising producer for like Real Housewives of Atlanta, I'm not gonna do that at the NAACP
Yeah.
Awards because
Yeah.
the energy or the things that I would need from the particular talent like a Nene Leakes over here, I'm not gonna pull that from Patti LaBelle over here.
Yeah.
So
That's
what
true.
were some skill sets that you were like, oh, I may not be able to kind of use it as I transition over into the entertainment reporting space?
You know what? I think that's a really interesting question because if I'm honest, I can't think of any skill that I wouldn't use when I'm working on the red carpet. And here's the reason why. It's so fast paced and it's ever changing.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're gonna need when you get on the carpet. Like I've done interviews before where I had to pull some information out of somebody in a very short amount of time.
Yeah,
Like
because not
for instance,
everybody has like energy like a
exactly.
Jackie. Like they gonna be
Exactly.
very. Some of them will be Denzel Washington where they don't want to say nothing at
Exactly.
all.
Exactly. And you have to, it's your responsibility to keep that going. And then sometimes you have people who talk for a really long time and you have to know when to cut it off. So I think and then too, like, it can be hectic or sometimes it can take a really long time to get things. So I think it's so many skills that I have to pull from. So I wouldn't say that any of the skills I had to push over to the side in order to do that. I can say one thing that you should not be is not willing to get in there and do what you need to do because that's not the space. That is not the space for you to be coy or not the space for you to be even polite. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but if you, you have to get to, like, we're talking about a few minutes where it's your responsibility to get this information. Why are you waiting behind the next person to get it? And then too, like, I'm hella fat and hella tall. I'm gonna get my interview. Like, if I have to push you out of the way, I'm getting my interview. You know, it's just kind of like, because other people are gonna push you out of the way. So it's like we handle it respectfully. Like I've been on the line before where people have been like, we're gonna have to share this space, and I'm like, well, you should have got here early. You know, like something like that. Like you ask me the right way, I might, but if you don't, I'm not giving you any space. You know, so the skills that I think you need all of them because you're dealing with a host of people with different personalities and you're dealing with trying to literally take up space that you don't know how this is going to go. So I would, for me, bring all the skills you got to the red carpet.
Wow. And speaking of the red carpet, I know there is other etiquette that comes into play. So for someone that does not know anything of that world, because especially me, because I only know when I see it on the camera and when it's the final finishing touch, but I don't know what happens beforehand. So tell me, for someone that just got hired as an entertainment reporter and they got to go day one to I'll make it Oscars weekend. What would be some good like first date tool bags to give for somebody for entertainment reporter?
So I would say, so I haven't done like the red carpet at the Oscars yet. I did a virtual interview or press conference with the Oscars, but we're hoping for 2026 that I'm there, that I'm doing all the awards.
Already, the sign is already there.
Boom. But I would tell someone, first of all, arrive early. And then before you even arrive early, you know where you're going. Do your research. Do your research. And even watch other interviews that people have given to other people when they've been on the press line. It will help you out so much to know who you're talking about, who you're talking to, anything that they have coming up. And then when we speak about etiquette, know that there are people behind you. You don't need to take 5, 10, you're definitely not getting 15 minutes, but you don't need to take all of this time to talk to one person. When you have all these people behind you, ask 1 or 2 questions and keep it pushing. You know, and then if you're thinking about how you're going to edit this anyway, nobody's going to listen to your 5-minute question anyway. So like make your question as important as it needs to be, make it impactful and keep it pushing and move on. That's what I would say.
And so I would say for you, like, we see this transition happening with glam, old Hollywood to now we're seeing content creators getting access to the carpets and the interviews. So tell me, did you see that transition happen in real time? And tell me, like, because again, you probably had to pivot again to research who these people are, like all the things that how to navigate a content creator versus someone that is already know the game, how to be like in these elite spaces. Tell me that shift, and how did you have to kind of move accordingly?
You mean content creators being the ones to interview, or me interviewing the
I would
content
say
creators?
both, because I
Okay.
think content creation, y'all have really like broke the mold. Like, you know, from back in the day, it used to be you knew like, okay, if I was going to get into Hollywood or I was going to get into that space or music, like you
Yeah.
knew you had to get the steps. But now with the Kais and hell, like the little girl that be doing little interviews for
Yeah.
sports
Yeah.
and stuff, it's just like now they are not waiting on to create a star.
Yeah.
It's like the star, like they're just picking the stars off of social media, off of how many
Yeah.
likes, how many followers, how
Yeah.
many traction that the audience can gravitate towards. So did that kind of shift happen in real time, and did you have to
You
adjust?
know, I came in while all of that was going on too, and I have to say this about myself: I don't consider myself a journalist, journalist. Yeah, I always say I'm a journal-ish because I'm not like, if we talk about traditional journalism, I don't have a degree in journalism. I have a degree in communications, but I started my career. It's only been almost 5 years for me being a journal-ish.
Yeah.
So I look at that, and I'm looking at social media like, yeah, there are people who are coming from social media. They have 1 million followers, and they're able to get on these lines, and I think that's fine. Like, I honestly think it's enough room for everybody, but talent is always going to be the star. And so I tell people, while other folks are getting opportunities because they've gained the audience, if the talent isn't there, well, then they won't be on the red carpet for too long. Like,
Hello.
and I'm not, and please believe, I'm not trying to down her at all, but we saw it in real time what happened. Do y'all remember when Saweetie was on, I think it was the BET Awards or something, and she butchered it? It was terrible.
Oh, yes, I
You remember that?
remember. Ooh.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a lack of, like, I think her team totally set her up. It was a lack of training, and she just didn't. Excuse me. She just didn't really know what to do. That's a great example of, if the talent isn't there, she won't last for too long. How many other ones has she done?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, somebody may give these people a shot, but if you can't deliver, nobody's gonna keep giving you a shot, because that's embarrassing for them, you know. But then you see people who are these like social media stars who have gained the following, and they're actually really good at it. Like, they actually care about the craft, and they do a really good job at it. And I just always, like, I will always say, it's enough room in the playground for all the kids to do whatever they need to do. I just feel like the way we're going right now, like, I can't be an advocate for traditional journalism, and I'm not a traditional journalist. You know, I can't say, well, I only think content creators should hold up this space when people are becoming content creators every day. You know what I mean? Like, there is no set formula for creativity or somebody's artistry. Everybody can join in. You just gotta prove that you can do it once you get there. Yes, sir.
Facts. Because everybody can act like they can hold the camera, but can you act?
Exactly.
Can you get the audience, and can you get the views? That's the hard part.
Yeah, like, it's a lot of work that goes into it. Like, even I'll say some of the things that I do, and I'm working on gaining my following too. But that's why I always said, I'll always be a storyteller first. It's the story that you tell and the way you position your content too. So I think these days you have to be a content creator, you got to be an editor, you got to be a social media strategist, and you have to be a business person. Like, all of those things combined. And if you need a team, get a team. Like, get people to help you out with developing who you are, developing your brand. If you can do it all, that's awesome too. But if you need people, get people to help.
And so my biggest question is it hard to get a team? Because it is one thing to be like, okay, collab, network across, but especially with nowadays, and shows are not picking up, or even projects have been slowing down. DEI has canceled a lot of jobs. People want to get paid. So for you, like, do you have a team, and what did it take for you to get the team, or get people to like come behind you and be like, you know what, Jasmine, I'm gonna rock with you?
So do I have a team? Yes, but it's not traditional. But that's one of the things I am working on now is, if you do want to expand, you do need to expand your network. Like, I'm all about networking laterally, and that's fine too, being able to reach out to people that you can grab. But if we're being honest, reaching out to people that you can grab are probably not the people who are gonna put you in the best position, because they're on the same position that you're on.
Yep, we on the crack. So at some point, in the barrel too.
It's that part. So at some point, you do have to reach up to the top shelf and try to get people that can help you expand. So I'll tell you something that I just did recently.
Yeah.
Working on the red carpet, and if we're just being honest, being a freelance media personality sucks ass. Can I curse? I'm sorry.
You can.
Okay. It sucks ass.
Wow.
Unless you're trying to do it for a hobby. Now, if that's your hobby, that's fine. But if you're trying to do it on a bigger scale, you need to get a bigger outlet. You need to link up with a bigger outlet. So last year was pretty difficult for media here in Atlanta. And what was it in 2023 or 24 where they had the writer's strike?
It was honestly between 2023 and 2024 because
Yeah.
by the time it really stopped, then DEI and stuff started to kind of
Exactly. So we've been getting hit left and right in the industry, and I felt like that trickled down with how many events were being put here in Atlanta because in 2020, I hope y'all know, in Atlanta we were outside during COVID. We was outside
too.
Okay, it was like COVID, please. Like I'm gonna wear my mask and go have a good time, you know.
The time was had.
Exactly. So like 2020, 2021, 2022, 23, the early part of 2023, outside. I had so many events back to back. I was probably out twice a week, and that's a conservative number.
Damn.
I was out at all types of events doing things. 2024, it was so difficult. And here's the point I'm trying to make about getting with the bigger outlet.
Yeah.
I told myself in 2024, I need to attach myself to a bigger outlet. The feedback that I kept getting from bigger outlets, because I told people, like, I'm ready to start interviewing A-list celebrities, like doing one-on-one interviews.
Yeah.
And I was trying to reach out to a big organization because they do a lot of things with entertainment media, interviews with celebrities and things like that. So I was like, I filled out the form to be able to do press interviews.
Yeah.
And essentially they came back to me and was like, you can be an influencer, but we can't let you interview people. And I said, okay, can I just ask you why? And I said, is it because my platform isn't big enough? And they said, well, yeah, we like to work with established brands. And I said, okay, well, if I come back with another brand that's bigger than mine, would you reconsider? And they said, yes. I made my goal 2024 to link with the established brand that had more followers than me, but they needed a media personality. Luckily,
that's smart, girl.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people, like, networking with people who are higher than you. Yes, laterally, yeah, you have people who you can touch. You reach out and touch them there. I have a whole host of people, my media family and friends, who we all look out for each other, but we're all on the same all on the same level. But I decided to reach up and try to see if I can get higher for myself. So I, reached out to my network of people. I had my little sister. She doesn't like me to tell everybody where she works, but she works in LA and she works at a pretty huge company. Yeah. And so she knows a few people. And so she knew this guy who's in the UK, and his platform is called Black Things UK. So I set up a meeting with him. He and I spoke. He wanted to tap into a US market, and I showed him some of the work that I've done. I was like, well, listen, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Like, I was when I tell y'all, butt naked raw, telling him, like, listen, this is the access that I have, but because I'm here, I'm not allowed to go here. But with you, we can go up here. And I was like, I said, I would love to work with you. We got it together. And with his platform, I started submitting for press credentials, and it worked. And that's actually how I got the Academy Awards opportunity, is because I reached out. I saw a press email for the Academy Awards, and I remember I looked at it and I said, why not? And I just sent them an email. 2 days later, they asked me, did I want to do the virtual press conference? And I was like, there it is.
Wow.
We cannot be afraid to reach out to people that we need to on a higher level to get ourselves where we need to go. And I'm still doing that now, reaching out higher to get to a better place, because my goal is I want to do media at a higher level. I want to be on red carpets. I want to be hired to do maybe like Entertainment Tonight or the bigger publications or media outlets, things like that.
Yeah. Wow, that is powerful, and that is really a good example of how you not only like you was like, you know what, I'm not gonna be comfortable.
Yeah.
Let me like take the chance on myself, invest in myself, and it took you within seconds. Like, that is amazing. And so I will honestly say, what would be as we transition into now some of your new ventures that you're going into, what would be a tip for you for someone that feels like they need to pivot? Because sometimes like people like feel it, but it's like it's a feeling, right? Like
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
to do it, but it's like that feeling. What would be a tip for you for someone that feels like they're stagnant and they need to level up? Like what would be one tip for you for them?
The biggest tip that I can tell them, do it scared. Like just honestly get out there and do it. Like if we're honest, yes, the first time you do it is probably gonna be horrible. Like it may be trash.
Yeah.
It may be something where you're like, oh my God, that was so scary and I messed up on the question and like my audio wasn't right, my whatever wasn't good. Okay, so like
Yeah.
I mean, everybody messes up. There are gonna be times where it's just not perfect. It's not great. But you learn from what you didn't do right and you keep going. But if you are always talking yourself out of things, then you're gonna look around and you're gonna be 60 years old telling some kid about how you wish you would have done something when you were their age. You don't want to be that old person chewing for no reason, telling these young kids that you wish you would have done
Right.
something. You don't want that. So do it now, do it scared. And even if it doesn't work out for you, at least you can look around and say, well, I gave it my best. I did what I wanted to do and I gave it my best shot.
Mm.
Like I'd rather have that story than a shoulda, woulda, coulda story.
Ooh, the shoulda, woulda, coulda stories is always
Yeah.
so depressing.
It's very depressing because it makes you realize that you didn't bet on yourself. That's all a
Right.
shoulda, woulda, coulda is. Like you were too afraid to actually stand up and say, you know what, I am a certified badass and I deserve it. You
And
know?
you know that actually that's the same way because I call myself the queen of story, and how I developed that was like I just was moving around so much, and I felt like I could tell a story like from all angles, even when like systematically they only try to tell you, oh, if you're only in reality TV, that's the only way you're gonna go to, and you can't tell a story in scripted, or you can't tell a story over here. I'm like, you know what? Let me take that word back because I can tell a story, even to the point where you try your best to become like us or produce like us to get the accolade.
That part.
For another day.
Exactly.
So for your new ventures, I know that you were talking about a new collaboration
Yes.
that you were having, and also you are now shifting away from going into reporting, and you're now giving back to local businesses. So tell me your new venture, who you're collaborating with, and what has been like the joy from this new experience you've
Yeah. So I have like my brands. It's called Sweet Socialites that I do with my friend Danny. She's the same girl that I was doing the podcast with. We've been friends. We went to Clark Atlanta University together. We've been friends for over 20 years. So she and so I'm kind of doing like two careers, probably three. I have a regular job too, like right alongside each other. But I love working on Sweet Socialites. We were just out at a collaboration today, but we go to different restaurants. We go to whatever type of business it is, and we use our platform to talk about these businesses that need to be amplified or businesses that we just find awesome or amazing. And I love working with Danny because like I'm the business and she's like creative. I mean, I'm creative too, but she has some really, really awesome ideas about a lot of things. Like I'm always looking to her for if she has like she's great at wordplay. So I feel like we really work together. So I did some work about 2 weeks ago with the city of South Fulton. Nice. And then I was telling her, I was like, I feel like we need to reach out to a lot of different like cities or the city governments or whatever and try to work with some of these companies and tell them we're trying to go around to these companies and talk to companies about like let's leverage our platforms to showcase and build brand awareness for you. You know, to show people, especially on the southwest side of Atlanta, which is predominantly Black, you want to show people that they don't have to leave outside of their communities. You don't have to go all the way up to areas that aren't predominantly Black to have a good time or to have a great service. Get good food. You can come right over here in your neighborhood, and that's what we just love to show people now. And I love the fact that like film and entertainment is kind of still all a part of that while we're showing these companies like this is the power of influencers or the power of content creation to show people this video will live forever. And people maybe 2 or 3 years from now will see this video and they may get inspired to go and try your food because of the video that we've made for you.
And you know what? That is really a beautiful thing, and I think it's organically aligning because I'm seeing it here happen a lot in California. just a lot of people, productions, or just people who are like, I know how to shoot, I know how to produce, and they're going to local businesses and being able to like enhance that. Shout out to LA Try Guy, and like all of those like content creators, not even content creators, just teams being able to like support all like restaurants that are out here, because I know the biggest thing in LA be like, where is there anything to eat? And so he has been able to just capture it, and now I'm seeing like brands and like other big companies like collaborating with these people, and it's not even getting to the point where they have to like hire a marketing team and they do the shooting. They're like, okay, well, I don't have to shoot it, I can just give the money to the person that already has the views, already has the audience, and I can be able to just do that and collab. And I think that that's where in the Hollywood side, a lot of my people are not seeing that because they're so used to the union show or the union like going from show to show to show, and they're not seeing like, oh, like I can be able to craft my skill sets in like these deals now. And you could probably talk about it with dealing with these businesses and brands. You kind of got to dial back and kind of advocate for them because they don't know. Like a business is like, I don't know what to shoot that's going to be specific, that's going to make these views go up or make people want to be in my restaurant. So tell me your experience with shooting with like a business or a local restaurant or things like that. And what were some of the skills or some of the things that you had to teach them to make their brand like elevate? Was there any experience that you had to do with that recently?
Yeah, I think some people, social media is still something that a lot of people just still don't understand, if I'm being honest. You know, they can even, like I was talking about, talking to people that I just did a collaboration with and trying to convince them, because some of the videos they got really good numbers, and I was telling them, like, I think this is something that you all need to continue to do. Like, I really think y'all need to put more money into a specific budget to showcase what you want people to come in to do. And I was like, I think that people have gotten messed up with traditional media versus new media, and thinking, I'm like, nobody's looking in a newspaper anymore. Like nobody's doing that. And especially, you know, I think you got to be like a somewhat of a business coach to people too, and kind of just make it make sense to them and tell them, okay, if you're talking about a new city and you're talking about a new city development, well, then you're specifically marketing towards families. That these are younger people. Younger people are still the ones who can buy homes. We're still talking about millennials and Gen Zers. They're not looking in the newspapers. Like, just they're looking online, and they're not necessarily going to Yelp for a review. They're going to TikTok for Gen Z and Instagram for millennials. Why don't you have a bigger presence on social media? And so I think the hardest part is just trying to convince them that no, it's not going to be just one video. You need to keep doing this so people can constantly see you. If you're coming up with a marketing budget, you need to include new media, and new media is social media. And you need to have that presence online, where you need to maybe have a few influencers that come in maybe like once a week that showcase your restaurant from their point of view, because everybody has a different way in which they tell the story. And people, their audience is going to go to your restaurant based off of what they've been influenced to do by that particular influencer. So I think just having these ongoing like conversations with people probably is the most difficult part, even when they see the value, when they see, like, I've worked with people before who couldn't get even 1,000 views. And then I've done a video for them and got like 200,000 views on one video for them, or 15,000 views. And they're like, oh, wow. Like, I will say this. I worked with a company once, and I ended up, I did this really crazy video when I went to their business, but I wasn't working for them. A friend had invited me. So I really took a lot of liberties with the video, and I did it my style, my way. That video ended up getting like 200,000 views. Wow. I reached back out to the company and I said, hey, I think people really want to know about you. And so we came back together to do a meeting, and I pitched them to have an influencer event. That campaign was so successful. Like, I ended up getting them 4,500 new followers in 1 week from that one campaign. I told them I would deliver 10 to 15 influencers. I delivered 30. At the last time I counted, we had like 1.5 million views. I know it's a lot more now. And it generated leads. And I was like, this campaign was and it was just one campaign. It was so successful. I was like, we should be doing this often.
Mm-hmm.
Like just
But you
having
know
that.
what? And this is the tip. You know, this is the tip that I have for Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
On our side, when it comes to marketing and stuff like that, we, at least from what my mentors and people have told me, when you do a show or like things like that, if you give it to a network, you're not going to have control of your marketing rollout.
Yeah,
Which,
at all.
unfortunately, that's why you see a lot of the shows that are for us come and go, come and go, come and go,
Yeah.
because of people think that we have control of that, the marketing, and we don't. So I love the fact that with this new generation, shout out to Endario, Chasing Reality franchise, because he is one that I love that has shown, at least me, that when you take the power back of your content or things that you want to do, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. If I want to do internal ads to support my people for episodes that I do and I produce, let me do that. If I want to be able to act a fool on my content and it gets 1,000 views, I'm going to do that. And I think since we are now taking control back of everything, we are now seeing the audience react to it. Because as we see from Hollywood, they is still over here acting like YouTube is not content. They're still acting like Instagram is not, TikTok is not content.
Yeah.
And as we're seeing with, you know, TikTok getting music videos or live award events on Hulu, or even just the collaborations of some of these Hulu, even just having collaborations with some of these like simpler deals. Twitch, like I feel like Twitch is going to be, they have something.
Yeah,
Twitch
absolutely.
I think they absolutely have something. But I think since we now have taken back the business side of it and understanding, okay, in order for us to survive, we need to know the business aspect, because we are really we have the content. We know, as far as us, we make the money because we have the culture. We move the needle, we pin the needle. And I feel like we, as our new generation, have recognized that more often and taking back the power. Do you feel like that it is for you, with you advocating for these local businesses? Do you think that your storytelling is being, like, your power is back?
Because I feel like I get to do, and I'm really, really strict about that on my page. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. And I'm not going to, like, I don't even lie on my page if I get like a brand collaboration with somebody and I don't like it. I'll tell the truth about how much I don't like it, you know, or I'll put in the reasons why I don't like it. But I also think, like, speaking about how we need to understand that we have the power, even if you are a smaller creator, I want people to listen to this, because I do work with influencers and like bringing them to different deals and things. Last year, 76% of brands chose to work more with nano and micro influencers than the mega influencers. So if you have 1,000 followers, you better be pitching to brands. If you have less than 10,000 followers, you need to be pitching to brands if it's something that you want to do. Get sponsorship. Somebody probably will give you some money. Like I just, a young lady who ended up getting a BET brand, it was a BET Communications Ambassador Program. I helped her put together a sponsorship packet so that she could reach out to different brands to help her to go where she needed to go. There's money out there for us to get. And these are the things that I'm doing for myself too. But there's plenty of money, opportunities. You just have to sit there and be willing to negotiate, get your price, like actually tell people your price and negotiate on it. I get people who are sending me things all the time and like, can you do a gifted this, gifted that? And if it's cool enough, I might do something gifted. But you know what doesn't understand gifted? My mortgage. So you have to get paid as a creative for the things that you are putting out. And I'm here to tell people right now, as a creator, do not be afraid. Even if you are a small creator, don't be afraid to go after that brand that you like. Pitch to them. You never know if they will actually give you the money. Or pitch to other brands. They'll probably give you money.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And for the longest, I thought that they wanted to talk to the Kais and stuff. But you know what? I understand that, because I think when you get to that blue check, it's like you got a talent agency or you're asking for way more than what the person asked for the budget. So that is a good advice. People, if you have 1,000 followers, start reaching out to the brands that you want to collaborate with, because it is the new way.
And that's literally what it is. Like, if you have somebody who has, I don't know, 6 million followers plus, you are going to be paying 6, sometimes 7 figures for one post for them. But if you have, and what the issue is too, people who tend to are nano or micro influencers, they tend to have better engagement than the mega influencers anyway. like, because we actually talk to our
Right.
audience. So companies would prefer to work with you because they know that you're going to be telling your audience the truth about what you like. Like if this is Colgate or like Bada skincare or any brand that you're working with, they're going to pay you for it over somebody else because they're going to be like, I can't afford to pay, I don't know, 50,000 for one post, but I can take that 50,000 and spread that out among 500 influencers, though. You know,
and that's
like
smart.
And your product actually gets seen by people who will probably end up purchasing your brand.
Yep.
So that's why I tell people, don't be afraid. Like, please, if you're even kind of scared about being a content creator, put your content out there right now. Like, whatever you're trying to do, if it's a brand that you love and you want to work with, pitch to them. But also, pitch in the right way. Don't go to these people just asking folks for money and you over there sending one picture of yourself.
Okay, well then how does that work? So if I'm trying to pitch for a brand and I want to be able to collaborate, how does that look like? Like, what are things that I should ask, and what are things that I should wait until maybe a couple of checks in, then we can
So I think you should always have examples that you can pull from, and preferably examples of your work that have done excellent, midway, and maybe even something that maybe was not as great, but the content looks good. You know, because they'll still vibe with that. Use Canva, create yourself a deck, have like a media kit where you talk about your followers, your reach, you give a little synopsis about yourself, and you show some of the brands that you worked with in the past. Even if you had to start your brand relationship on your own, like you pick 3 brands that you showcase that you just like, but technically you work with those brands, so put them on your media kit. And then go out and see, ask yourself, how much is it going to take for you to create your content? Like with you going out, how much time are you spending on this? And then how much time does it take for you to edit it and post it? And then, and there are resources that you can use to figure out how much, depending on how many followers you have, you should be asking for. Like, make sure you stay within a reasonable range. And then there are other resources that you can use to find out about things like whitelisting, or when people say it's in perpetuity or things like that. Like, what are the what exactly are going to be the things that you tell a company that they can use your content for? But those are the things that you kind of got to figure out as a content creator doing things on your own. But it's still a place to start. But you should package yourself better so that you look like a professional, because at the end of the day, it still is a business. And people don't just want to give money to anybody. They want to give money to people who look like you are about your business, even if you have 1,500 followers. If you have 1,500 followers, but your deck looks amazing, okay, what are you asking for? Because I know you have the skills to take it to where it needs to go. And in no time, you're going to have 10,000 followers and so on and so forth, you know?
And so, this is such good information. My audience, please make sure that you're taking notes. And so for you, how has the local businesses been good as far as the content? Like, how has some of working with these local businesses and, communities, what has been the impact? Have you seen like stuff rise? Like, what has honestly been the joy of being able to give back to these local communities?
I love it when other people told me that they went to a company, or somebody was like, or my co-host and I went to this place called, we did a video before we went to this place called Whisk, right here in Atlanta. It's a breakfast spot is very new, but we mentioned them in like the top 5 places to go for Valentine's Day, right? And so we just ended up going there a couple of days ago just to go there. It was my homegirl's birthday. And so we just went there. And the guy was like, oh, I remember y'all. Like, I saw y'all put up that post. Like, things like that is what I love. And he was like, I want to appreciate y'all for featuring us. We're very new. Like, things like that. I love that. And then I love it when people go to the places that we feature and like, oh my God, I had such a good time because of y'all. And I love when a business reaches out too, or like they follow us and keep following us and commenting on the things that we're doing, even with other brands, because they like what we did for them and they like our personalities. Like, I love that type of stuff. And also getting to work with a brand for a second or third time because they really enjoyed the work that you did with them before. Like, that has been a thing with us as well. So I think those things, like, that's a true measure of how good you are. If somebody wants to work with you again, they had a pleasant time with you.
Listen, because the one thing is, if you got good business, they're going to come back.
They will come back. And they want to continue that working relationship with you, even if it's drawn out for like a year or so, if they're still looking at you, the things that you're doing, and eventually they're like, we have a new menu item, we would love for you to come back out.
Yeah.
Or, I want to feature this, or I would love to have you come out, things like that. It's always like, okay, so they actually really rock with me. Yeah.
You rock with me.
I'm doing it.
And so another question for you, I know, like I said, with Hollywood, the fires, DEI as a whole, the Trump administration, just hot mess.
Yeah.
Did it stop you from your groove of working, or did it not stop? Has everything with stuff going on environmental wise, society wise, did it stop you from your career?
No, you know what I feel like as Black people, we've always been at the bottom or oppressed. So we've always had to, even if it wasn't our own, to kind of okay, let me restructure this. Somebody else made us do it. We've always figured out a way to do it. So I don't think that I've stopped. I actually think that, not saying that DEI isn't impacting me, because even though they like to make Black people face up, but we know white women are the biggest ones who are getting benefited from DEI. Let's
talk about it.
That part. So while they always like to make Black people face of oppression, but I'm sure that down the line something will impact me. But sometimes I'll be like, how will I be able to tell when life is just so stressful for Black people?
Right, how it's so much impact. What's next? What's the new impact gonna look like?
Exactly. I would be surprised if people were actually making things for me to enjoy life. I feel like I very much have to fight for everything I want anyway. So maybe that's just the default for me is man, we've been through this before. We'll get through it again, or I may have to get my ass up out of America or whatever I have to do. But if I have to flee America,
the passport is on standby.
Okay, when I say if I have to flee America, I'm just gonna create content around that. I'm gonna do it.
What's that lady, Shabana?
Okay, I was I'm gonna do a whole series about how I had to leave America, and just your life is content, so you just turn it into something about content. I'm I hope that's not a thing, but if it is, I'm just gonna pull out my little camera or whatever it is, and we're gonna get to rolling and put it up on whatever platform I'm allowed to put it on.
We have to do a collab, because it looks like we're gonna have to do a collab content creation special going on here. Some things
exactly.
Going on.
What part of the world you in, girl? Because I'm all the way over here. We'll have to meet up somewhere.
Oh my gosh, such a great conversation. So before I wrap up the convo, two things. One, what would be a good affirmation? Because I'm always about affirmations, keeping myself with good energy and positivity and just good advice.
Yeah.
What would be an affirmation that you would give to somebody just honestly that is losing hope? I know a lot of people, can't pivot and may just have to kind of walk away from something. What would be a good advice or affirmation to give to them? Before I say
that, I do think sometimes we need to walk away from things. I walked away from entertainment when I was 24 years old. But I think walking away from something can give you so much clarity as to whether you need to be there or not. And I feel like if you feel I'm not there yet, I'm so stressed out in this space or it's causing me anxiety, remove yourself out of it. But listen very closely to whether it's calling you back. Because maybe you just weren't ready in that moment. Yeah. But now that you've gotten yourself together and you feel more secure in yourself and your abilities, now it's time to go back and kill it. So walk away if you need to. But also, I always like to say that my voice is the voice of authority. I don't listen to anybody else and their opinions, good or bad. And I think you particularly need that in this industry, because if you allow yourself to think about somebody criticizing you or somebody gassing you up, their voice is going to be what you listen to and not your own. You have to remember, I'm not as bad as they say I am, and I'm not as good as some of these folks say I am, but I can always do better. I can always get better. Listen to your own voice. I always tell people, your voice of authority is the only voice that matters. That's it.
Period.
That is it. That's all you have. People always be like, I need people to do this. Yeah, you don't. You don't. You don't need people to tell you what you already intuitively know about yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. You know who you are. You know who you are. Believe in that and keep pushing with what you need. But like I said before, if you need to sit your ass down, sit your ass down.
And some people don't know how to sit their ass down until it's too late.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, I think a good way to know if you need to sit your ass down is if everything is not working out.
But how do you know it's not working out? Because some people just be like, "Oh, maybe this." Like sometimes they be thinking it's a test. Like, "Oh, maybe this is a test, and if I finish the test, then I got it." But sometimes that test is to sit your ass down.
It is, because I'm like, God, I didn't check for you like that. Like, stop thinking that everything is a test or that the devil is doing this. The devil. No, sometimes you just need to sit your ass down. Like, sit down for real. Sit down so you can get clarity about where you need to go. You know, sometimes when you just, okay, here's a fork in the road. I need to sit down because I need to. Where is everything telling me I need to go? Like, let me listen to all. Let me lean on myself and listen to everything around me too to figure out where I need to go. And then you'll get the answers. But I feel like sometimes I'm gonna keep pushing despite. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to rest for a minute, which is what I think Black women are doing right now. But that's another conversation.
Listen, I just saw the state of emergency that they did, and Joy. I think there was a segment where Joy was talking about we may need to go back and march. You said we not marching now. You said as soon as you said we are not, I closed the doors.
Yeah.
Protesting is not on my. You see this afro? It ain't for a protest. I ain't marching nowhere. What?
Exactly.
I love Miss Angela Davis. I love the queens.
Yep.
I'm not going out there to them marching lines. I voted. We voted. We did our due diligence.
92%.
Where do you think, as far as Black women, now that we are like in the state of rest?
Yes.
Do you feel like you're in a state of rest right now, or do you feel like you're in a state of movement?
Both, if that's possible. I feel like I'm resting.
You can put one toe in, one toe out.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm resting on things that I'm just like, I need to see where I need to be over here. But when it comes to what I want to focus on and the things that I feel like are going to make me better, I'm fully zoned in and focused over here.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as Black women, you know, who is it? Moya Bailey, I believe, said, she coined the term misogyny war, where Black women have this experience of understanding racism and sexism at this intersectional
time.
At the same time. So we have so many things going on as far as like Black women and feeling like, you know, and this isn't, before anybody starts, this is taking anything away from Black men or anything, but I'm just speaking as my lived experience as a Black woman. You know, we just have so much going on, and it feels like despite all of the work that we do, despite the fact that we are the most educated group of people in the U.S., despite the fact that we are the number one people pursuing entrepreneurship, so many things come down negatively on us. And even when we try to stand up for everybody, it's just, we're beaten down so much to the point that I think people just think that Black women are meant to labor. And I think this is why, as a collective, most Black women are like, nah, like, I want a good life, and I'm not really caring about what everybody else has to think about that. Like, we're not working and laboring for you all the way we have before, because after we work and labor for y'all, then we get nothing in return. And I think Black women are just tired. We're just tired, I think. You know, we've been going through so much, and it's just like, as 92% of us stood up and we did what was right to see what happened, we're like, I think we want to fight differently, but not the way that we have before.
And I think
we're still fighting.
Ooh, that's a good point, because I think now we're thinking, okay, we don't got to be at the front lines anymore. We're going to start hitting people with the pockets and the money, and like really being able to, but then also too digesting when it comes to, because Culture Couture, we're having a new episode when it comes to the Black owned breakdown. And okay, if we're going to go Black owned, let's dive deep into that and being like, are we really supporting Black owned? How does that look like? Are they supporting us through and through? Or are they just, you know, going to go as a little company, and then as soon as they get, you know, a good investor, they out the door. So it's a lot to play into it, and you know,
it is. It's a lot, and I understand too, like, why some Black businesses sell their business, because one thing that Black people have not historically done well is scale their businesses or sell their businesses so that they could possibly make other businesses. But the fact that we don't control a lot, you know, it makes it a very difficult conversation to have when we're talking about, like, why don't you retain ownership of your products? Or, you know, you like, who is that? Be with the honey pot when she sold her business.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, you said the ancestors gave you these ingredients. So who in the hell told them to change the ingredients? Who ancestors told them that?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, how are you building this story about your ancestors, but then you sell the company to somebody and they're
not with
putting
cocoa butter anymore.
Exactly.
It's with gelatin that I don't know about.
Exactly. Now somebody's coochie is on fire because they put preservatives in it. You know, things like that. But I also understand the need to make money and sell a business because it is a business at the end of the day. But I also feel like, or like what's happening with Target and Tabitha Brown, you know, things like that, where people are like, I'm not going in there and purchasing those products, but they're like, you know, it still helps out Black creators or business owners. But it's also like, we need to have a real conversation with Black people as it pertains to real ownership. Because if we had true ownership, and I understand you have operating costs, like nobody's really out here with their own warehouse to produce these products. But how can we get to that point so we don't have people who are taking our products off the shelves because they were participating in performative activism, and now our products are just like they're hella discounted because they're trying to get us out of here, you know, because they were just playing about DEI, you know,
and
like
I think the biggest,
too.
and that's tough. And I think the biggest reason why is because we are not in various positions. We are so, like in Hollywood, for example, we have a lot of producers, a lot of executive producers, a lot of directors, a lot of editors, but we don't have, I tell these people all day long, the many years I've been on TV and film, for almost now 10 years, there was only one show that I've been on where I had dealt with a Black attorney, like a Black accountant.
Wow.
And I never thought that it was like a experience until I was like, oh, this is why we need to have like our people in various positions, because when I had the Black accountant there for the show, I wasn't the EP for it, but she would text me like little things like, girl, why y'all buying Starbucks all up the yin yang? You ain't got the budget for it. What are you doing? And she'll text me those conversations, but we wouldn't have those, like, if I didn't have that type of person that would keep it a buck with me like that and warn me in those things, do you not know, like, they would have probably made that a big uproar and they would have took our money because we would have been paying a lot on Starbucks.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
And so we need to think, we need to, like you said, be scared and take chances. Even the positions that we want to get into,
even
get
the positions.
more accountants. We need more lawyers. We need more people that are with the lumber, with construction, designers. We need people in so many seats. I think recently, like you were saying with the collaboration, I think recently I just saw that Carol's daughter has been, literally, I just saw this yesterday, is pulled back from Target, and they are now in collaboration with a Black owned investor that can help them with like the entities and logistics of the lumber and like those things like that. So I think it's out there. I think we just now, like in this space, we got to take that chance and do the research.
Yes.
Who are people that are in these positions that we can replace from these white people? Because since they're replacing us with DEI, we can replace them in these roles too. Because from what I heard, a lot of these people who are in these big companies and corporations, you think they're Black. There may be one or two of them, but their COO is white, or their CFO is, another diversity, because they have to still fill that diversity pool.
Absolutely.
Because even some people be having like questions with me, like a lot of cohorts or applications or, different summits, when they are looking for just Black people or just looking for queens. And then you look at the cohort and it's like, why is Karen up in there?
That part, I
thought this was supposed to be for all Black people. And I've even heard people like, I don't even want to apply because I know I'm not going to get in. So it's so unfortunate where now we have to dig deep. Yes, we're taking that power back, but we got to do our due diligence and make sure we do the research and make sure that we are giving the pockets to our peoples and, not the other investors.
That part, like, we have to do our own research and make sure, like, if you want to purchase, y'all do your research. Go back and look at who's actually owning these companies. And then too, like, I think with Black people, if we want ownership, we got to look at getting other, like how I spoke about working with people amongst you, like building with people who have the similar interests that you have to build companies, bring y'all well together. And I will say this, and I'm not one to be like, white people do this and blah, blah. But honestly, if we do look at some of the things that work for them, they will work with people that they don't like.
Hello.
They will work And that's
And
one
talk
of
to them and talk to them
yeah,
dirty on a tabloid.
exactly. But they will connect with people that they have no interest in liking. They can't stand each other, all of that. But they know that when it comes to business and making money, we're going to make money together. I can't stand your ass. But we're going to make money together because we have these similar interests and we have goals that we're trying to achieve. You can work with people who you don't necessarily like. You can, I mean, of course, you want to keep an eye on them, but if y'all are trying to get to a greater goal, that personal stuff, put that aside.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think a lot of more Black people should work together when it comes to film because we are the pulse of the culture anyway. It really makes sense for us to be pumping out all types of film, music, and everything, and actually owning it.
Mm.
But we don't do that.
Because
So
we separate ourselves because
yeah,
we feel like if I'm in scripted, I'm in this way. If I'm reality TV, I can't go over here.
right,
And I feel like our generation is kind of diluting that and be like, nah, like if you could do the job, you could do the job.
exactly,
Period. Like it
exactly,
don't matter if you was in scripted for 10 years or if you was in this for do you know how to talk to talent? Do you know how to
exactly.
ask a question? Get your butt in here and let's just I think what happened, and I think for your career too, or you're in your field, they took the fun out of doing it. I remember when I first started TV, like it was fun. Like we used to go to the bars with our talent afterwards and kiki. Like what happened to the rap parties? What happened to the swag? I haven't had swag from a show since 2020.
It's those budgets that they're using for the top people that they won't allow to trickle down and actually give people like the swag or whatever else that they used to give people because they, I mean, like this administration trying to give money to the rich people and not actually keeping people invested in the company. I mean, really, because people are like, well, I can fire you tomorrow and find somebody else to replace you.
Hello.
They don't care.
Within the next hour, some shady people.
Like they don't care about you at all. Yeah.
Well, it was an amazing, powerful conversation, baby. If you missed this conversation, you can get it because once we finish here, it will be on the QOP page, and we'll make sure to put it on the QOP website under our recaps. But Queen Miss Jasmyne Flowers, it was such a blessing to talk with you again, giving you your flowers.
Thank
to be
you.
able to book and busy during this time. And so, where can our audience follow you on our social platforms?
Listen, you guys, make sure y'all follow me on my social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube even. It's Jasmyne Flowers. So JasmyneFlowers. On TikTok, though, it's Rogue Jasper because somebody bald-headed ass stole my name.
Stop!
No, actually, I say stole, but they just got to it before I did.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's Rogue Jasper. So look me up there, but I'm easy to find and tap in. And we're going to be doing some more amazing things here in Atlanta and abroad. And y'all going to see me on the hottest red carpets because that's what I do as a certified badass.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, like I said, it was such a joy to talk with you.
Thank you. Yes.
I learned so much about you. And again, I follow you. So I'll be just following your stuff. But I learned so much within this conversation. Hopefully you all, take the gems, take the notes, and do not be afraid to go out there scared. Like we have done, we've been able to pivot our careers. So you can do the same. So please make sure you follow us, support us. Make sure you support Jasmyne Flowers. Do the same. And like we always say with QOP, live, love, create. Deuces, y'all.